Hey, I'm Brett McKay. This is Harry Jones, and this is Games of the Week. Hello, mate. How you doing?
How's it, brother? I heard you were fogged in somewhere in the airport, so I'm going to try to lace all my comments today with some kind of weather theme, if I can do it. I might get tired,
I
though.
have spent the last 2 days in Melbourne, but yes, got fogged in Canberra the other morning, which was interesting. Anyway, go on then.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to try and do that. So, like, if you ask me about South Africa, it's going to be partly mad with a chance of glory. I don't know, something like that.
You're going to get all meteorological on me, are you?
Yeah, try.
This should be good fun. Absolutely go and check out episode 24 of the 8-9 Combo Rugby podcast with Chasing the Sun director Gareth Whitaker, a thoroughly fascinating look into the making of one of the great sports documentary series, the twin wins of the Springboks, the 2019 and 2023 Rugby World Cups. And it's a fantastic series, but the conversation that went into it to find out what went into it was just so good. And I've been off the socials and everything for 2 days or so, mate, but the reaction to it has been quite extraordinary, hasn't it?
Yeah, the rugby intelligentsia has loved it.
Yeah.
It's leading to all kinds of interesting collaborations. We're like David Guerra. We're going to be featured on all kinds of rugby music coming up.
Yeah.
More later on that.
Oh, good. Fantastic. It is the international edition of our end of week show once again. But this week, well, there aren't too many games of the week. So we'll get to the Major League Rugby conference finals shortly. But what we wanted to do is sort of take one last look back at the July test with an eye ahead to the Rugby Championship in a special segment that we've called What Have We Learned? So, mate, let's go through them in game order. What have we learned about Australia?
What learnings have we? Sorry. So Australia is a little bit of a same as it ever was, again and again and again, because even though Joe Schmidt has tightened up several parts of the Wallaby game, there's still this nagging set of questions about front row depth. If you have a couple of guys go down, Angus Bell looks like a real miss there. Not just for the scrumming, but the actual second carry, third carry. Valentini gets you over the line, and then who's your second guy and who's the cleaners? It's like, we just need two more big bodies. Number 10, not in the sense that we think Noah Lolosio is not the proper top candidate, because of course he is, if you have any rational view of what's been going on. It's that he hasn't taken control of the jersey where there isn't a controversy. You almost
he leaves himself open to the criticism. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and I think there's more factors to that than just Noah, of course.
Yeah,
but
of course.
And then big six, a bully six. So right now to switch Bobby over to 6, does bring Harry Wilson into play at 8. But there's still that nagging sense of, sort of 6, 8, 12, 10, I guess on the even numbers. Where are we on that? And possibly could add 2. So maybe it's 2, 6, 8, 10, 12. Where are we going on that?
I think 2's all right, Matt. I think Matt Fessler was perfectly fine.
I think it looks okay until the Rugby Championship. I think there's going to be a couple of things that the Wallabies have a rude awakening on, and I'm sure Joe's not going to be surprised, but he knows this already. There's just a couple of those, and I think it happens on the reload carries, and it crops up on defense because for all the bright signs on the attack, I felt like the defense of the Wallabies was lacking. If you give up 21 points to sides like Georgia or Wales, no disrespect, you just imagine what the All Blacks would do with that.
Yeah, that's fair. I think what we've learned is that back row stocks remain good.
Yes,
we've learned that back 3 stocks remain good. I think we even learned against Georgia that Paisami and Ikitau are by some distance the best centre pairing going forward. But I also think we knew that. And I also think that we've learned that whilst the Joe Schmidt influence is clear already, and we've seen things like the little tip passes, the patience in pick and go, set pieces already beefed up. We can see the Laurie Fisher influence around breakdown and collision, but there is the age-old Australian question of how many penalties will we give away this week?
Yeah,
and it might be 14, it might be 9, it might be 12. There's still a bit of work to do there, because again, if you're going to start conceding penalties, particularly in your own half, as they did in the last 2 tests, that's going to be punished by McKenzie and Pollard and Carreras and the like. So,
yeah, it's the opportunities lost as well. So, 12 penalties, I think, was the count in the final game. And if you break those down, probably 3 of them were good, just like in the NBA. You have good penalties, take that foul. Yeah. But when you have the ball and you lose it as a penalty turnover, it's almost it's the worst possible thing.
When you've mounted 20 phases on opposition try line and you cough up penalty for not releasing.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is what gives, that was what would give Laurie all that gray hand under the bucket hat. Just you have your opponent. Now what you want to do is almost force the other penalty. So rugby is a game of forcing penalties as well. It's one of the ways we score. It's one of the most important ways we score. So I think Wallabies' ability to, I hate to say this, sorry, but give the referee the right picture. Around the attacking ruck.
Absolutely right. It's become cliche, but it is spot on. It's absolutely right. What have we learned, mate, about South Africa?
As usual, we are simmering fury and violent joy. There's nothing like following the South Africans' storied life through rugby. We are just always mad about something and always secretly kind of happy and ready to eat. So I think, what we've learned about this is, and for all the apparent insanity of Rossi, there's such a smart guy underneath it that does succession planning. So if you look at, you actually just soberly look at the map of the position by position, South Africa is sort of 3 or 4 deep in most positions now. Even in positions where 5 years ago you said we had nobody at 9. Now there's probably 6 scrum offs to choose from, and you'd be fine with 4 of them against the All Blacks. There's a couple of positions where the age profile is starting to be an issue, but when you go back and look at that, even there's only
number 8,
there's only
and maybe fullback as well.
Not really, because I think the incumbent fullback now is Willemse. Vili's just filling in. It's like Williamse, but there's not that many that are over 33. Let's put it that way. You take 33 and over, which would put them at 37 in Australia and 27. That's a question mark. But a lot of the guys you think are old are 30, 31. And the midfield combination, of like Creel and Arm are both 30 years old. They've been around forever, but they haven't. So I think Rossi we learned that some of the players we thought would come through, like Ruiz, didn't. So Alec Lowe is the beneficiary of that. Another one that you haven't heard that much about probably is Ben Jason Dixon. I don't know a lot about him. He's a proverbial player that, at provincial level, at club level, was pretty good at the Stormers, is pretty good. He's a rangy guy. He's shaped a bit like the young Pieter-Steph du Toit, about 5 kilograms lighter than Pieter-Steph right now, but the same, wingspan, broad shoulders, and plays like an animal and has absolutely engine. So I think Ben Jason Dixon is probably the find. Sasha's not really a find, Ngomazulu, because Sasha was known. Like, you just look at him for about 5 minutes, you go, "Wow, that guy."
The hype around him now, and again, I haven't seen a lot of him apart from these couple of tests. The hype around him now reminds me of the hype around Andre Pollard when he started at 20s.
Yeah, it's a fair comparison, and he has more athletic skill. But what's interesting about Sasha is that he bangs his kicks over a bit like when Jordy Barrett's on. Like, he not only gets the kick over, he tries to nail someone in the top part of the stadium.
He kicks it a long way. Yeah. Is there? So you mentioned Damien Willemse there as the incumbent 15, and that's interesting, because the one little chink that I thought was, I think we saw it in the last test when Spiders LaRue went down. There was just something missing in the attack.
Yeah, so Willemse won that in 2023 at the World Cup. He was the starter at fullback, and he was learning from Willie. Willie's actually a really good mentor, by the way. So having Willie in camp is really outstanding. He never shuts up. He's always got an opinion. And the thing is, most of the opinions are right. It's just that he's grumpy all the time. It's a perfect coach. Look at him. You're going to be a coach. You're hard to impress. So Willemse's injured. He had a really bad finger injury. It takes a while for that to come back. No, the thinking is that it's basically Willemse and Sasha in fighting it out. Fassi. Afela Fassi is another guy that's just got raw athletic talent, really long and incredible leap. His speed is off the charts. So I think it's just a matter of finding where you plug those in. I think the thinking is if we had to play a knockout match against the All Blacks tomorrow, it'd be, and everyone's healthy, Willemse is the incumbent.
It feels like the question is which of those four misses out on the 10, 15, 23 rotation.
So then you have the 6-2-7-1. When it's the 7-1 and you have someone who can fit all purposes, Sasha would be the perfect person to groom. He's 22 years old. He can play any position. He really could. Grant Williams is another one whose stock rose. I don't know if you saw that play against Ireland where he had to switch on to his left foot. He banged a kick that was sort of a 50-22. The Irish guy did save it, but he looked up and Grant was already there and tackled him into touch. So made it a 50-22 the old-fashioned way. All the things in that one play, a coach goes, wait, can anyone else do that? Nobody can do that. He has sub 10-second speed in the 100.
What?
Yeah, he's an actual certified sprinter. Like, he's the only guy. Everyone says rugby players are quick. This guy, Grant Williams, actually, he'd be the fifth guy. He'd be like a 9-9, and nowadays that's not good enough. But
well, we'll see how he goes in the Rugby Championship after he wins Olympic gold in the next 4 months.
No, he's nowhere near to Olympic gold. I'm just saying the guy can actually do the 100-meter sprint like a proper sprinter.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right. Fair enough. What have we learned about New Zealand?
Man, New Zealand is like this brooding, smooth machine. They're kind of bubbling under. They're a bit small, I think. I think we learned that maybe at lock, there's a bit of a frailty there in the new regime post Metallic and Whitelock.
Like they really miss Sam Whitelock, don't they?
But overall, they look kind of brooding. They're like the unrequited lover in the love story. I think Razor Robertson's building something there, like some sort of vibe. I anticipate them exploding in this Rugby Championship, quite frankly. Yeah, and scoring way too many points.
It could be really ominous, couldn't it? Yeah, and so I can't believe I'm about to say this. I think they showed frailties against the rush defence, which South Africa go beauty. Yeah. So England clearly decided that the best way to play New Zealand is to get in their face, and they did that, and they did it with success. I think they did it with more success than they thought. And New Zealand didn't have too many answers for it. Whereas then conversely, they go to San Diego and Fiji didn't use the rush. They just held back and let them run at them. And what do you know? They ran everywhere.
Yeah, the Fiji defense was whatever the opposite of rush was.
It was Fiji.
I'll be there later.
Yeah, it was Fiji.
That has been the one thing that the only team is the Hurricanes that plays somewhat of a modified rush D, so the All Blacks don't get to face it. And privately, behind the scenes, my Kiwi sources tell me that's the one thing they miss from playing the South African teams, more than the physicality of the pack, even just.
The different defensive patterns.
The sheer speed difference. When you have a Colby and a Ardense, just the ability to be places where you go, how did you get there? It's impossible. You must have been off sides. No, you weren't.
Because not many. I mean, the Brumbies tried to use it front half of the year, but even they just sort of pulled back by the end of the year. So they're not getting much of it from Australia either.
And so it comes back to this one thing. In my article in The Roar this week, I pointed out that sometimes when you say that you cannot get around the rush defense and you're forced to do dinks and chips and diagonals, it's because your initial your carry wasn't good enough over the gain line, which created less space between, carry, say, Bobby V, Jake Gordon. Then I get to the Noah. By the time I get to Noah, I've already got three guys in between Noah and Paisami Ikitau. That's a problem because then Noah has to do something, either eat the ball, reset behind the gain line, or do kicks. So I think the All Blacks have still not worked out who their second carriers, third carriers. They got plenty of big carriers in the backs, and you could line up Caleb Clark and Sever Reeves,
Brown,
Mark Tilley, and say, "Give me over the gain line," but that doesn't really work in the trenches. So I think when I say that they're missing some big beef, I think it's not just in the lineouts. I think Sam Whitelock was always a sneaky, deceptively good carrier because his presentments was so good. You never had to worry about it. He would kind of just go, wait, and then present. And
there you go. Here's another meter. Yeah, exactly. That's a good shout. What have we learned about Argentina?
Consistency.
I tell you what we have learned about Argentina is that Conteponi has already reintroduced a bit of Argentinian flair about them. They look different to the Checa Los Pumas.
It could be bad though. I thought that Checa had them kind of in the right mix. They were just about the right kind of hybrid. I think Contepomi is going back to this sort of pell-mell. I think consistency will be the problem. What I've learned is they are really up down. For 30 minutes, for 20 minutes, they could be the best team in the Rugby Championship. And then for 10, 15 minutes, the worst. And as we all know, that's what gets you killed in the Rugby Championship, because all these teams can score. Like, it's just, they can score from nothing. You give Mark Talea a sniff, Chesson Colby a sniff, they're gone.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. It's look, I thought they played the second test against France. They were superb.
It was amazing.
That was one of the great 15-man performances. And say whatever you want to say about that French team in South America, and I actually mean on the field, but specifically. But I don't know, they just, that second test performance. Santiago Carreras was not a fly half 18 months ago, but he's really grown into that jersey.
Yeah, so I get these guys that go to the Premiership and they play. A lot of times they get more opportunity because of the length of the season to explore and change positions and do kind of things like that. So I think actually Argentina, all their players now pretty much play in England and France, I think.
Yeah.
And so they're coming back with that sort of amassed knowledge. I guess Contepomi just has to figure out a way to mesh it all together, because he's the only coach working with a purely overseas crowd, whereas everyone else has a little bit of a more domestic pace.
Yeah. No, it's fair. Look, back Kremer and Matera are enormous as always in their back row. They're always going to be. Montoya is the glue up the front. Maybe a good team. They are a good team. I shouldn't say they're going to be. They are a good team. So
they'll be fine. The big question is Argentina, who's better, Argentina or Australia? And I think I know Joe Schmidt.
It probably comes down to where it's going to be played.
Maybe, but I think I know Joe Schmidt's mindset enough to know that he's that humble, that he's not getting ahead of himself. I think
he's prepared to ask the same question.
I think if he swept, for example, the Box or took one off New Zealand, he would be so chuffed about that. I think what he's in his heart of hearts is thinking, we got to take 2 against Argentina. We got to beat Argentina. We got to restore that pecking order first.
Yeah, that's fair. Major League Rugby conference finals this weekend after a couple of boil-over semi-final results last weekend. So the Eastern Conference finals on Saturday, the New England Free Jacks. I had Patriots in my head then. I really nearly said that. The New England Free Jacks against the Chicago Hounds in Quincy, Massachusetts on Saturday. On Sunday's the Western Conference final between the Seattle Seahawks and the Dallas Jackals.
And you said the Seattle Seahawks. See, you're just so NFL right now. It's the Seawolves.
I did too. That's all right. We'll cut that out in edit.
Hey, what are you wearing, brother? What's that?
It's just a jersey that someone sent me.
Is that an omen? I mean, are you signaling something there? Are you saying that you're picking against your friend Sam Windsor?
No. What I'm saying is that I have so many jerseys now that I can link it into pretty much every episode that we do. That's what I'm actually saying.
Like one of those rock stars, like who was that guy? The guy for the Kings, who every single song was a different outfit.
Yes, yeah. I'm going to start doing mid-show costume changes soon.
Well, so Seattle's definitely the favorite here.
I think so. Yeah,
putting the upset twice in a row is really hard.
That's huge.
Dallas might think A, we overperformed. B, we already kind of did what we're supposed to do, so now let's just enjoy.
Have they played their grand final already? That's
on the other hand, they would have very little pressure, and
they've got nothing to lose from here.
We know that pressure is the great equalizer. So I think it's about the old hands, probably our friend Sam and those guys. Can you feel position in lockout game? Yeah, it should be a comfortable win. But there's other thing that plays here is weather. It's been a very crazy summer. So I don't know what the exact weather is like, but it could be rainy, and that would play into Dallas's hands because of that big maul.
Who are you thinking then for a championship final the following weekend?
No, it should be by form. It should be the top play. It should be
New England Seattle.
New England Seattle, which is an interesting extreme east, extreme west. I think you can get from Boston to Ireland quicker than you can get from Boston to Seattle.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the true thing.
I can absolutely believe it. I can absolutely believe it. We just thought we'd let you know our plans for the next few weeks. Obviously, we've got a couple of rugby-free weekends coming up, including this weekend. So there'll be no games of the week next week, obviously, with nothing. We have got 2 great rugby chats coming up with the weekly 8-9 combos, of course, including a look behind the curtains with the TV match official next weekend, which I'm really looking forward to. And then Test match post-mortem will resume on the first weekend of the Rugby Championship as well. So just so that everyone knows our movements.
Don't just rant and rave at us, but please on socials, on 8-9, come on there and just talk about the things you've always wondered about a TMO, the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
How you do it, okay, if you want to rant a little bit, fine. But most importantly, give us some really good substantive topics.
Where anything you want to know about the TMO process.
Channel that for the TMO and say, hey, TMO, a lot of people out there really wonder when you pick to intervene, what is your internal criteria? Like that kind of question.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's a fair chance that the questions you want to know are the questions that we want to know as well. So, we'd love to hear from you at 8-9 combo on all the socials. And then there it is, full time then on a special What Have We Learned edition of Games of the Week. And with that, our service to Test match done. Rugby is done for another week, mate.
I'm glad that we're such sacrificial and selfless servants of the game.
Yes, we are. We do what we can. But do please go and tell us what you think at the 8-9 combo on all the socials, or leave your thoughts right here in the comment section on the YouTube channel as well. Or, hit Harry and I up on the socials in our usual places. Make sure you're followed and subscribed across all the platforms on YouTube as well. Make sure you're getting everything as soon as it drops. Again, go back and have a watch on YouTube of episode 24 of the 8-9 combo with Gareth Whitaker. It really, really is a fantastic rugby chat. And it's a fantastic storytelling chat as well. So even if you don't like rugby, if you don't like rugby and you're listening to us, sorry,
what's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you're intrigued to know about how that sort of stuff is made, go and have a listen to that chat, because it's really, really worthwhile. But this is Games of the Week from the 8-9 combo, the short side set piece combination you didn't realize you needed, coming from the podcast double act you already had. I'm Brett McKay. He's Harry Jones. And we'll be back in your ears with Australian TMO Brett Cronin next week.